Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, pick Guardian.
Jared Brandon Wound pickups.
Hey everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs. We're thrilled to death to have you along with ourselves, with us.
Yes.
Ourselves on the show, amongst ourselves. As like you're sitting at the table, but you're not. But we wish you were. Not all of you. That would be very crowded.
It'd be a large table.
Yes, be a little bit sweaty. And I think Jared's got some meat sweats right now.
That.
So
yeah,
salad sweats.
It's not. Yeah, more like that.
Jared's not used to eating greenery.
Right. Anyways,
I need some lectin defense.
Oh, I don't know what that is, but maybe our special guest does. Who are you, special guest?
Kevin VandeKrol from Aion FX.
Brilliant. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know what this is and you're like, what? Then you need to go check out. Where do they need to go, Kevin?
So I got a new website that just launched at Aion FX, so AIONFX.com, and then the same thing at Instagram and Twitter.
Sweet.
Brilliant. Instagram is a nice little thing that will hook you right away, so definitely go check that out. Basically, what we've got here, we've got a gentleman who makes some mighty fine DIY kits, amongst many other things that offer the builder,
the average Joe,
the average Joe, and the above average Joe, a way to express himself. So we're going to get in deep into this. It's going to be a lot of fun because it's hitting close to my home because I like doing this stuff. Man,
you are an average Joe.
Yeah, I am. Kevin, does that sound okay to you? Or you still want to play?
I want to play.
Okay, all right.
Or would you take what's behind curtain?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to just handle a couple of quick announcements real quick. We need to thank
Rode
Microphones.
You just mixed it up. You've been moving and shaking with your little intros and stuff. Yeah, we're going to thank Rode mics for providing the Rodecaster Pro and the Procaster mic, making us do our thing.
Have they released the Rodecaster
many years
yet?
Strong yet? No, that's still...
It's still under development.
Yes, it's still under development. So thank you so much to Rode for providing that. They make really fantastic gear. If you are interested in doing this, or even, something else that they make that's really great is little hookups for your iPhones, so you can record in your room or your basement, and it'll sound better.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff like that. So go check them out.
Like an interface.
No, like a mic that'll hook up to your phone.
Really?
Yeah, like a directional one, so you're not just getting the entire room.
Right.
Wow, I could use something like that.
Yeah, so you could point it right at your amp or your...
Hey, can I mention that, we're back in the studio now? And
we are.
How much I missed my articulating arm.
I thought you were going to say me, but I'll take it.
No,
Yeah.
I
You
see
meant
you
me.
all the time.
Yes. Yes, we do have the articulating arms. Thank you, Tony, for pointing that out. We also want to point out that, hey, everybody, we are on YouTube. The podcast is on YouTube. We don't have video on there as yet.
Could we have our heads bouncing
Maybe sometime.
on there?
We probably could, but we're not.
Oh.
But every single stinking episode is up there now. And we encourage people to listen to the later ones as opposed to the early
because
ones.
The early
you'll
ones
see
are
those sprinkled
stinking.
in. Yeah, I mean, we had to start somewhere.
It was
Everybody's
dipping
gotta
toe in the water time.
Yeah. Anyway, so check that out. 191 episodes are on there right now.
What are we going to do for 200?
Can you believe that?
What are we going to do for 200? I think there's going
It's
to be
coming
some
up a lot faster than I thought.
giveaways.
I think we should do some giveaways.
I think so.
Yep. We got that coming up. All right. So let's find out what we were all doing this week in our musical guitar week. And we're going to start off with Tony Baloney. And then we're going to head on over to our friend Kevin, and he's going to talk to us about his music world.
Well, inevitably, I guess I just need to stop going online because I found something for really cool. It's a cool guitar.
Or you could just divert your generosity to yourself to others. I'm pointing at me and Jared.
Are ya? I guess I could do that. So I don't know why I do this, but I was over on the Musician's Friend website, and they have a really cool. It's a Gretsch double cut, kind of like the the Malcolm Young model. It's that shape, if you want to call it that. But so
that's a duo jet, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, but it's a double cut.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
You see.
Looks like you're going to need new filter drums, Tony.
I think I'll probably need that. But what's really cool about this, so one, they have like, if you go to Musician's Friend, you can do like a open box search.
Sure.
And it's usually things that were returned with some minor problems sometimes. I've gotten some of the returns that I can't tell that they are anything but new.
Yeah.
Thumbnail blemishes somewhere.
Yeah, this one they showed a picture of the pickup ring has a crack in it. Now, if that's the case, so this is like,
oh my gosh,
new. The street price is like $650.
Ooh, I was close. I said $599.
Yeah, you were close, but this has a Bigsby on it, so $50 more for the Bigsby.
Now is that a Chinese Bigsby?
Yeah, it's all Chinese.
It's licensed by Bigsby.
Yeah. It is licensed. But they had this for $417. So I just thought, how can I pass this up? I probably should have passed it up, but I couldn't help myself. But what's really cool about it, so it's got a gold top, and it's white on the back.
Ooh, that's kind of fun.
It's a dual tone paint job.
Okay.
And it's got the Bigsby. It's got, it's like everything that I like in a what is termed technically a solid body Gretsch.
Yeah.
Even though these models were never solid body.
Are they chambered?
They're the original ones are very chambered. If you look at like the one that Billy Zoom plays,
right?
He's got an original 50s.
Yeah.
And it is
that's a sparkle jet though, isn't it?
Yeah, you can call it that.
I did.
It's a duo jet.
Okay.
They're all duo jets.
All right.
If they have two pickups, they're duo jets.
Gotcha. That's why Tony's here, everybody.
That's why I'm here. Yeah. These, I guess the new models, they have a maple top and a chambered mahogany body. The old ones they had basically arched maple made to look like, what would have been like a Les Paul or something like that at the time. And but they were always fairly hollow, which is why a lot of the old Gretsches, really the 50s Gretsches, are very, very light. So they call it a solid body. It's not really. I wouldn't call it a solid body, but it's cool nonetheless, and it's going to be here tomorrow.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yes, so I'm excited about that.
Are you sure it's going to be here tomorrow?
It's tracking for here tomorrow.
Brilliant.
My friends at UPS never fail.
That's good to hear. All right. Well, thanks for sharing that, Tony. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I'll bring it in. I'll bring it in next time.
Yeah.
But you can't touch it.
All right. Well, that sucks. Kevin, how about you? What's going on in your music world, man?
Yeah, so a couple days ago, I noticed the Fender started selling their Kunafe wide range pickups.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And I've had an eBay save search for like 10 years on the original wide ranges, and they just keep creeping up and up in price. So earlier this year, I built a guitar. I've always wanted a 72 Deluxe Telecaster, but the options were always just like either like a low budget Mexican reissue that wasn't anything like the original, pickups that just look like the real thing, but nothing like it under the hood, or you can get the original for like $3,000. And so I had the idea to build this guitar that was basically like, what if Fender made an American Deluxe version of the 72? And so like it has like a modern like 4-bolt neck, compound radius, contoured heels, locking tuners, that kind of stuff, and really, really good pickups. And so I finally pulled the trigger. I think late last year I got all the parts for it, got a custom body made for it, and decided to go with the Seymour Duncan wide range humbuckers. Sorry, Jared. But they were the only ones at the time that were doing the threaded Almaco, and the originals were like $500-$600 each, and it just was not going to happen. And so I finished it like in January, I want to say it was, and it's just an absolutely beautiful guitar. It's kind of one of those like that lifetime guitar that's like, you spend years planning it and you're not ever going to part with it. Like on the new website, the kits page, there's a video on that page that you can see it in the beginning of that. But it plays like a dream. It's just a fantastic sounding guitar. But 2 weeks after it's done, I saw an announcement from Fender back in like January, February that they're bringing back the Kunafe pickups for this high-end Telecaster Custom. And it's just like, okay, that's fantastic timing. But then I just noticed a couple weeks ago or a couple days ago that they just started selling the wide range pickups on their own in both the bridge and the neck. And it's the same price as Seymour Duncan ones. And so, of course, what that means is I've got to switch mine out, not because my guitar is missing anything, but for the sole reason that something else exists that might be better. And so that's where I'm at. That's the story of all of us, I think. But that's where I'm at now, as I'm about to pull the trigger on a set of the Fender Kunafe wide range reissues and swap out my Seymour Duncans.
I have one.
Do you like them?
I haven't tested it yet, but
Okay.
I've taken it apart and So Vanderkraal actually replaced Kunafe a long time ago, and it's pretty
Explain
much
Kunafe real quick for anybody that doesn't know that.
Kunafe is just a makeup of different alloys, and it's to make it copper, ferrite, all that.
Nickel,
So
iron.
they made it soft so they can actually thread it. And there's a material called Vanderkraal that Seymour Duncan, me, Mojo Music Supply,
Curtis Novak.
Curtis Novak, Lawler. We're all getting that stuff from the same supplier, and that's been around for like 7 years, I think. I don't know. I think Curtis is the one that Curtis Novak actually had them make. It's a much more affordable way of making the Kunafe, but what's his? Oh, I forgot his name. I'm sorry, but works for Fender now. Used to work for Gibson.
Shaw.
Tim Shaw bought a factory. And I'm not sure what country, but they bought the whole magnet factory.
Wow.
Let's say Barbados.
They bought the whole thing just to make Kunafe again. And it was brilliant because people don't understand that Kunafe and Vanderkraal basically have the same
Magnetic characteristics.
It's the same thing. You probably can't tell the difference.
Jared and I have been around. We've been married so long that we can finish each other's sentences.
So it's more. It's to me, in my opinion, it's one of the best marketing investments that they've done. And you're going to pay $100 more for one of those.
But that'll also is that the one that has the Fender stamp on the
yes,
cover?
It does.
That's why.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I bought,
and that's what you're looking for in that, right, Kevin?
That's the only thing I want is the Fender logo, man.
So you could buy Lawler's, mine, a whole bunch of people, and I'm not going to say it, but I am. The covers do fit ours,
but I'm going to say it.
but I am instead.
Oh, I know.
The covers do fit on ours, but we don't say that on our website. We can, we don't want to get in trouble. We don't blatantly do that. But I did buy the new Kunafe, and it's awesome. The bobbins are the exact same from when they did in 72. Everything they did, they almost have the exact same thing, and I'm very impressed. And I tell you what, I think you should get those pickups and put them in that guitar because that's the best, closest reissue wide range that you're going to get because it is Fender made, and it was Tim Shaw. And
it'll probably sound better than vintage, 70s pickups because the magnetism increases.
Yeah. While we're on this topic really quick, say I like the idea of a humbucker, but it's just...
If the humbucker itself is too thin, I would get a wide range because the magnetic poles are further away from each other, which causes a much larger magnetic bloom. And I think that's why they call it a wide range.
So they might... So they're going to be...
They're heavier,
fuller sounding,
and more
than a humbucker. Maybe
it's a wider range.
Definitely.
Okay, good. Yeah. So I just
Like
played. I just played the consumer for you guys.
Because when
you win,
people see a wide
Everybody
range, all they think of is the 3 and 3 that are exposed.
yes,
But that's not why it's called a wide range. That's just the design of the pickup.
yeah.
But no, man, that's an awesome bring up, man. I'm glad you brought that up because as a pickup maker, and I've been selling my own wide range for 3 years. I'm so glad that Fender actually came out and did these.
That's fantastic.
Nice.
Wow. Well, that was a very fruitful conversation from your
I'll give you $100 for the Duncans.
No, they're good
For the
pickups.
set?
too.
Yeah, of course. I'll pay $20 for shipping.
No, they're good pickups too.
No, they're all good.
Crap
Yeah.
on my Duncan.
Yeah. All right, Jared, how about yourself?
Nothing. No. No, a couple things. I took my 69 Martin after my good buddy Tony Baloney made me a fantastic pick guard for it.
Celluloid.
And I think that was in a fire. I'm pretty sure.
Totally. Yeah.
And the case didn't survive, but the guitar did. And the structural is fine. And the neck is fine too, but
It just took a lot of finish damage.
it did. It looked like an old man's elbow. It was really bad.
What?
Yeah, it looked like an old man's elbow when your arm's extended. It's like the real wrinkly, bad,
Some
yummy.
people call that a weenus. Did you know that? No, I'm not being dirty. That's
Weenus.
literally what they call it. Yeah.
What does it rhyme with?
It's what I hear. That's what I've heard.
Genus.
I don't know why.
Venus. No,
Anyways, I don't know.
So yeah,
I don't
Thanks,
know.
Todd.
Yeah.
I took it up to Lay's, and I got to tell you what, man, they are swimming in guitars. They have tons of guitars in there, and I'm like, oh man, this thing's gonna be here forever.
That made me think that their commercial would be him up on the roof going, "We're swimming in guitars."
Oh, like a fast
Like the
talker or whatever.
commercial.
Yep, in a '70s suit.
Come on down. We're swimming in guitars.
But Dan looked at it. He's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this right. I'm going to take the neck out. And I'm like, you're going to take the neck out just to finish the guitar? And apparently I learned something. Fender finishes their necks.
Martin.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Martin finishes their necks. Same thing, right? And outside of the body of the guitar before they assemble it.
That is correct.
I did not know that.
Is that so they can make neck adjustments without messing up the finish?
I honestly think that they do that because they don't want that, you know, how like on Gibsons where the neck joint.
That's what I'm saying, where it just kind of
Yeah, but a
all
lot
fills in.
Yeah, it fills in. So I think
So
it's
if you do have to fix something, now you definitely are screwing up the
right.
finish.
The joints and the creases look a lot cleaner.
it's cleaner and it's easier to get put the right angle on
Yeah.
the tenon.
You don't get the lacquer in the weenus.
Yes.
I'm also
no weenus.
Also, going through my chords and making sure they all work, fixing a few chords here and there with some new jacks.
Nice.
Getting my pedal board ready for the big show at the end of the month. So,
Fantastic.
yeah, that's about it for me, guys.
Excellente. Tony's waiting for me to start talking so he can do his interruption thing.
How about you, Todd?
Oh, well, thanks for asking, Tony. So one of my favorite things is when I go to the basement, that's where I do all my guitar knobs work. That's where I do any extra day work.
It rubs
that's where,
the lotion on its skin.
That's where I do all of my band work. And so it's all centered around the same area. And a lot of times I can just jump in and start playing stuff. Well, I've been writing a lot of new stuff for the next album, and I found myself, I think I started being a little sick. I was like, this is awesome. And I was like, wait, it sounds like another one that I got going. So I'm liking the things that I'm doing, but too much so. So my guitar week, the thing that I did was put the guitar down for just a little bit.
No way.
It's true. It's true because I would just end up homogenizing everything that I'm doing, and the whole point is to say, oh, this is a new thing. This is a thing in and of itself. It's like you got to have all the kids, but they can't be clones of each other, else it's just going to be worthless and boring. So, anyways, I found myself getting a little bit of a playing rut because I really like playing that stuff. And then any variation, I'm like, oh, here's another one. It's not really. It isn't. It's just something to keep a note of, like, oh, I could alter it or, do whatever. So
Have you ever tried writing on a piano? Or are you not a player?
I am not a player, and I don't know. I think it'd be weird standing on a piano playing guitar. Anyways.
Like
No, I
Slash?
tried to play piano, and my left and my right just didn't want to
Okay.
party together. So
No, I'm just saying because that's a lot of people who wrote primarily on guitars.
Yeah.
When they shifted to piano, it was just a whole new vocabulary, I guess, of sound. A vocabulary of sound.
One thing that I am doing though, I decided I was in the shower where I do a lot of my. I don't know about you out there, whoever, if you're listening right now.
I'm listening.
Think about when you do your best thinking. Some people do it while they're running. More often than not, I'm just in the shower, just like Jane's Addiction. Just
when my
standing
wife's
in the
trying
shower
to talk
thinking,
to me,
and that's I get it's like lightning goes off in the shower in my head. It's fantastic. I love it, and
because you've become relaxed.
I am relaxed, yes, in the shower, and so I started thinking about, you know what if I start focusing on some of the vocal nuances of songs that I really like, and like what kind of is that something that I can take and craft into something in a guitar aspect. So that's kind of where my head's at right now.
So you put the guitar down
and
cleared your head,
and well, I haven't got it back yet.
Picked
so
up
that was that was like 2 days ago, and I was like, the flugelphone.
Flutophone.
Yes.
flugelphone.
Okay, you're a flutophone.
1, 2, 3, 4 on the floor.
Hey, Jared.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier you were checking out all your cables and everything for the big Halloween gig.
That's right.
Would those be tour gear?
They are. You know why I use them? It's because they're small. They're very, 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 very reliable. Very reliable.
That's extremely reliable in my book.
And no, they actually fit on any jack, on any pedal. You can get different lengths.
Nice.
And they sign the thing on the thing when they put the thing on the thing.
Do you find them to be reliable?
I love them.
He loves them.
No,
and
tour-
they're super affordable.
They're super affordable. I pay like $3 to $6 in that range for each one.
They start at $5. So you're right there.
5 to whatever.
What if that's not good enough, Todd?
Well, then you can lower that price. You know how you do that, Tony?
buy more.
Tell me.
Well, you got to go to the Tour Gear website, which is tourgeardesigns.com. And then you're going to put a little /, and then you're going to say discounts, because discounts are good.
That's right.
And then you're going to hit another little / and say the guitar knobs. And blammo! Now you have a cheaper patch cable, and it's going to be fantastic. It's going to get sent to you. And with 5 times the reliability, according to Jared, of any other thing.
Very, very, very,
I think
very,
he said it 5 times.
Very, yeah, 5.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to think of the word reliable.
Yeah.
No,
Stalling.
because I couldn't think of the word reliable. No, all joking aside, I do use those, and they are the best that I've ever used. They're awesome. Please try them out.
Collectively, the 3 of us have used an awful lot of different brands of patch cables.
Yep.
And we unanimously agree that these are the best that we've used.
Yes.
So, anyways, go over and check that out. tourgeardesigns.com /discounts /guitar knobs and get your 10% off. All right? Do it.
Yep.
Okay, Mr. Kevin VandeKrol from Aion FX. Give us your 4 on the floor.
Alrighty. So my first one is the Source Audio EQ2. Love Source Audio. They are just a very inspiring company and making me rethink. I mean, my whole world is analog with what I do, but they do digital really, really, really well, and I love everything they do. But I got to be a beta tester for their EQ2 back in March. And what it is an EQ pedal. It's a digital EQ pedal. And but what it is it's MIDI controlled, and it also has an expression control with it as well. And it turns it into a game changer because if you think about it, like a phaser and a wah are both just swept EQ. I mean, if you watch them on like an EQ graph, all that is just EQ that's being swept across the frequency spectrum. And so when you add an expression pedal to an equalizer pedal, it can function as a wah or a manual phaser. And those are just kind of like even like hidden features of it. It's stereo, and so stereo in, stereo out, and so you can actually use both channels independently.
Wow.
And so you have like a pre or post EQ for a drive pedal. Like you can cut the bass and boost the mids before, and then you can add back anything afterwards that's missing, which is kind of a studio trick that you can just have on your pedal board. And if you read like the ad copy on the box, it sounds like it'd be boring, but I mean, you can watch some YouTube demos of it. But it turns it into a tool, and it's just a kind of a game changer as far as like rethinking, what an EQ means. And it turns it into just kind of a tool you can use that just an analog EQ can't touch it. So I love that pedal. It's awesome.
Does that have presets?
It does. Yeah. There's like 4 or 8 or something like that you can access from the front of it. You can access like 100 on the MIDI control.
That's I remember checking this out a little while back, and that was the thing that intrigued me. All of the stuff that you said I didn't even know, but I was like,
it's awesome.
That's pretty cool. Like to be able to have EQ. So like mid, like if you're playing a show, you can change your sound radically, like mid song with that. Oh
yeah.
Wow.
And then if you have like a MIDI controller for your board, which I do on my board. If you have like a loop switcher, you can have EQ presets. The EQ is always in after or before your drive pedals, and you switch in certain pedals, and you can change the EQ with it as well, and kind of get some enhanced combinations that you wouldn't really be able to get normally.
Wow!
So it's a lot of fun.
That's we're doing everything we can in an analog way to do everything that the Line 6 stomp does.
Yep.
We're not giving in.
Oh my god.
And others, there's but that's the great thing is like you kind of have the best of both worlds all over the place. So that's really cool. That sounds amazing.
One question about that. So
sure,
when you input your guitar, can you output it stereo and then it's actually true stereo? Does it generate a true stereo left and right different timing type of thing?
I'm pretty sure it does, but you would have to like EQ them differently because there's no like built-in delay. I don't think they've added a few things after the beta testing. I'm not sure where they're at now, but I don't know that it can. Other than having, if you wanted to have different EQ in both channels, I don't know that it'd necessarily give you like that the stereo field that you'd get from having like a 30 millisecond delay or something like that. I'm not quite sure, but
wow, that's impressive. What do you have for number 2?
Cool. So I told you I love Source Audio, and so they get 2 slots. Thing is, I have the Ventris reverb and the Nemesis delay, and they're both incredible. And I didn't want to make 3 slots Source Audio, and so they have a collider, which is the combination of it has delay and reverb in one pedal, and it's all the algorithms or almost all the algorithms from both the Ventris and the Nemesis. And it can basically do almost everything, but it's not. There's some weird stuff with stereo and the way that it uses 2 different engines, stuff like that. So I don't own a collider. I have the Ventris and Nemesis, but I'm gonna sneak 2 into one slot and say the collider is awesome.
Gotcha.
And plug that.
I have the Keeley Caverns, which is probably a slightly less complex version of that.
Yeah.
No, not stereo, but it's a reverb delay combination. Yeah. It's a smart way to do things. It saves a lot of room on the board, and if you like the sounds, then that's even better.
Well, that's the thing. And on my board, I have the Ventris comes right after the Nemesis, and so it wouldn't really make a difference. If I wanted to save some space, I could just get a collider. But
Indeed. Let's see here. Is there anything particular about the color of those pedals, like the sound, aside from the actual effect that you like that so much?
Yeah, I don't know. They just have the algorithms that are built in are just incredible, and they have a really nice editing interface. They're just a desktop, and they have app based stuff as well. But it's really cool to be able to just set up all your presets and then set them up on a computer and play through them and hear what they're doing, and then be able to do MIDI recall of that later. And the ones that are built in, their presets are just fantastic. And they also have on their website, they have a bunch of downloadable user contributed ones. as well. And so people will put like sound recordings along with it. So you can kind of browse through and hear just these whacked out sounds, just awesome stuff that people come up with, whether it's delay or reverb or like with the collider, combining both of them. And it's just, it's really inspiring, really cool. And I mean, they're kind of a competitor with Strymon. They have a lot of similar products, but I like Source Audio. That they're my guys. So
I suspect you strike me as somebody who would like playing with the Chase Bliss, but never actually touch the knobs. Just screw around with the dip switches.
Maybe so.
I
Everything
think
at 12 o'clock.
Pretty sure I have that right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing?
It's a thing.
I like
thing.
it.
It's a thing.
All right.
I like it.
Yeah.
You decide.
Yeah. All right. How about number 3?
So number 3, Cattle and Bread Formula 5F6. So they're just an incredible company. Nick and Howard were just an awesome design team. The whole like saga over the last 5 years has just been terrible, but they gave us really legendary circuits, especially for people, like me. Like I live in the analog world. Almost all their stuff is analog, and it is. I mean, their schematics are things of beauty. The 5F6, it acts like a real preamp. It's kind of made to emulate the Fender Bassman. And the way that it's set up is it's kind of an overdrive, but it's meant to be more like a preamp in the sense that it's enhanced by what comes before it. So boosts or overdrives, and then it adds its own clipping and tone shaping. And so it doesn't like try to like straight up just emulate that by like you using JFETs in place of the tubes or whatever of the 5F6 circuit, the Fender. But it has its own character to it. And with my pedal board, I have like an ampless pedal board, and it has the option to as a GFI cab Zeus to do headphones, so I can play quietly because I have other people in the house with me. So I use the Foundation series pedals kind of in the middle to act as the amp. So it comes after my overdrive pedals, but then before all the modulation and everything. And I've tried a couple of different Foundation ones, and right now I've landed on the Formula 5F6. But the Dirty Little Secret is awesome too.
That is a great pedal.
And then the Formula 5 and 55 are great. And so right now I'm liking the Formula 5F6, but the whole Foundation series is just awesome.
That's pretty. That's a well priced pedal too. That's
a
nice thing.
Yeah, yes.
All right. How about the last one, number 4?
So last one, this one's been on my board for a really long time, but Electro-Harmonic Super Ego. And it's just a really, really simple and musical way of capturing like an ambient pad that just sounds like a note being sustained.
Did you just say simple?
Well, the Super Ego is simple. Yeah, man. You just tap a button and it captures whatever you're doing.
Yes, it's just you broke your theme, so I was just trying to...
Sorry. Right. It's number 4. Hey, we had to have some stragglers at the end, right? Some contrast. There we go. And so I had a freeze for a while when that first came out, and that was awesome. But the cool thing about the Super Ego that turned me on to it is it has an effects loop built into it. And so just like the frozen note, the ambient kind of pad, you can run that through an effects loop. And so you can put delay or reverb or tremolo on just the effect. And you can play over top of it, capture the note in time, the chord or whatever it is, and then you can affect that for really nice like ambient pad kind of thing. But the loop, the stuff that's in the loop doesn't impact the dry tone at all. And so I just love it's simple, it works, it sounds great, and it's a cool pedal.
You mentioned the freeze and that maybe I'm a fan of the freeze. I've actually tried it twice. And then I said, "What am I doing? I'm just complicating myself here." But that's another one. It's like I'll end up trying to get that again because it's just a cool thing. It's like if you haven't tried the freeze, ladies and gentlemen, you're familiar with it, Kevin. You want to tell them what the freeze does?
Yeah. So it basically it's a really really. I mean, at its core, it's kind of a really, really, really fast looper, but the loops like blend together in the set, so it doesn't sound like it's just like oscillating or whatever. But you play a chord and then you just tap the foot switch and it captures that chord as though that chord is still playing at the same tone, the same amplitude and everything. And so you can do it for drone notes, or you can just do it like a 2 or 3 note chords or whatever, and then play a bunch of other stuff over top of it, whatever you're doing. So it ends up doing, the concept isn't super advanced, but EHX did it first in the most usable way that sounds the best, I think. So it ends up being a looper, but the way that it just blends together is awesome.
Yeah, and that's I think you can do it momentary and latch if I'm
yes.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool because you can stomp on it. If you're a single guitar player like myself in a band, that's where you can.
I thought you were married.
Good one, Tony. That could in fact enable you to you can fake a rhythm section if you do it right.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can. Yeah. Tony's giving me you young whippersnapper look, but it's true.
The way we did it back in the day.
Anyways, well, that was a pretty fantastic 4 on the floor, man. We've got
It's a good one.
those are 5 new. 4 new.
4 new.
That's the next segment we're going to develop.
4 on the floor.
Yes. So yeah, right on.
Yeah, none of those have been on before.
They have not. Fantastic.
Thank you for bringing us an original one.
Yes, and speaking of thanks, we need to thank John Finnell.
That's right.
JONFINTEL.com, recording engineer, producer, mixer, masterer extraordinaire, and a
all around nice
and a
guy.
tone Sherpa. Yeah,
A Sherpa.
Sherpa.
He's got a beard.
Yeah, he's got a beard, but not like a big Rick Rubens one or anything like that. It's just a nice
beard.
man's beard.
Yeah.
But he's anything but nice. Anyways, if you are interested in capturing the tone that you so much desire and are struggling with it, give him a call, and maybe he can help you out or something. And you can also check out relayrecording.com. That's where we are currently, and it's a great place to record too. So there you go. Thanks very much, John.
Thanks, John.
Yes, sir.
We need to find out the goods on Aion FX. And we've got the man behind Aion FX, Kevin VandeKrol. I'm going to put a big echo. No, I'm not. I'm not going to do that. So just a little bit of setup real quick. Kevin, if you may indulge me for just a second here. I was very intrigued upon finding him on, I think I found you on Instagram. That's usually where I find a lot of people. And it was actually because I was looking for a tremolo, because I'm still looking for the right tremolo. And I landed on yours and I was like, I saw the Tremulous Loon kind of DIY box. And I was like, hey, that's something cool. And I would love to build that. And then I started digging in. I was like, this is pretty solid stuff right here. And then I remember someone on the show had mentioned you before. And so we started talking. And here you are.
Yep.
Here I am.
You are launching a new website. What is the new website all about? And then we'll tap into all the good stuff that you're going to offer on this website.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, my old website. So some background. I was a web developer as in my previous career for 10, 15. So it all blends together. Many years. And I just quit and went full time last September. Doing Aion full time. And it's the old the cobbler's children have no shoes kind of thing, where my website, since like a couple of months after I launched it, has been bothering me because it wasn't as good as the stuff I would make it work, and it just didn't. I thought of I've been making this list for just a long time of all the things I could do better on it, and so this is kind of my hunker down, take a month off of everything else, and just do what I had in my head for a really long time, and I'm pretty proud of how it turned out. So
fantastic, and so that will be a shopper's paradise, if you will.
Oh yeah.
And awesome. Now, on that shopper's paradise called Aion FX, what can people get there?
So I have two main, I guess you'd call them product lines. I don't think of myself as a product person, but I think of myself as a DIYer. But there are two different types of things you can get there. One is the circuit boards. Now I have about 100, maybe 100 odd different circuit boards on there, and each circuit board represents like a different pedal. The circuit from a pedal that you can build. You can get the circuit board and build your own with the circuit board and then some documentation that comes with it. But you buy your own parts and everything, and then you follow the instructions, and you usually will have a working pedal at the end. Depending on if you bit off more than you can chew or not. Usually. And then about 2 years ago, so I've been doing that since 2013, I think was when I first started selling the circuit boards to people. And 2 years ago, I launched the kits. And so that's the other thing you can get is that some of the circuit boards, I have about 10 of them right now, but you can get full kits of them. And those are more intended for the circuit boards themselves are intended for more like intermediate people who've built pedals before, who know what they're doing. The kits are intended for both, absolute beginners and intermediate people who just want something that looks awesome and want to be able to build something that looks like it came off the shelf at a music store, basically.
Yes, and based on the components that I saw on that, and based on the builds that you were showing, they look very well put together. And I don't necessarily mean from a mechanical like the actual build part. I mean the actual parts, the way that you've considered how they work together, the aesthetic across the whole line. They don't look ridiculous. They don't have goofy graphics. You're not using super cheap parts. So this is a really good way to get a solid pedal on the back end of this.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing I had going into it too, was that I wanted the end result to be, like I said, something that looks like it came off the shelf at a music store. It would look just as good on your pedal board next to a name brand. But then the other thing is that I can actually let people build pedals that are higher quality than what you can get at the store, because I'm able to private source my own parts, get these foot switches that nobody else uses, get these resistors that are better tolerance than anybody else uses out there. Really, really good tolerance capacitors and everything. And so I'm able to control all the parts that go into it. And I haven't seen any pedals out there that use, the kind of parts I do. And so it's kind of fun to be able to give that an option. So you build your own, but it's actually better quality as long as you do it right and don't mess it up. It's actually better quality than something you could buy at the store.
Nice.
So do you have the ability to do like custom labeling on the actual parts as opposed to I always get mixed up whenever I'm doing things with the stripes on resistors and the things like that.
When I first got into it, I said, okay, like the thing that took me the longest, and I've been doing electronics for over 10 years now, as a hobby and now as a job, and I still don't like necessarily trust my ability to read resistors if it's a mission critical thing, just because like a 12K resistor is the same front as it is back, so that one you always get right. But other ones, like you might mix up, brown and red. You might mix up, green and blue. And so if you mix one of those up and you get the resistor around, you're either looking at this chart, staring at this chart, trying to decode it. And then you either have wasted a lot of time and got it right, or you've wasted a lot of time and got it wrong, and you screwed everything up.
And if you're colorblind, you're really screwed.
Yeah. Or you're just measuring everything with a multimeter. And so when I got into one of the first things was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I want these kits to be way easier, because that for me, like the learning curve was the worst part of getting into DIY. It's really, really steep. And so when you buy a kit and you're given this, bag of resistors, and either you're going to get 23 different bags that all have like one or two resistors in them and are labeled really nicely, but it's so much plastic, or you're going to get a bag, depending on who you buy it from, a bag just all full of a bunch of blue resistors with these stripes on it. And then maybe if you're lucky, you get like a piece of paper that has the decode, the color coding key to it. And the idea of me selling something to somebody and telling them, okay, now here you go and do this. The first thing I did was I figured out where I could get like private label, like source my own resistors that it just made for me, that have the value printed on them instead of the color code. And then while I was at it, I also made them like 0.5% tolerance, so they're way better than what you can get at Mouser or anything like that.
Nice.
But and their audiophile quality and everything, and so they're higher quality. But the main thing is just having that value printed on there. So
can you purchase those components by themselves, or are you only do those only accompany the kits?
Right now, I'm only doing the kits. For me, I mean, this is just me, and I run this thing all out of my house, and so I can't stock too much at a time, and I have to stock it based on what I can put into a kit. And so I try not to buy any more than what I need for a set of kits that I'm doing. And so at some point, I mean, I had a lot of people ask about it, and then that and the foot switches and a few other components. But as of right now, I'm not really set up to be like a parts store. I can't keep that many different SKUs, and my website that I just finished isn't set up to be have 1,000 different parts on it. It's more customized for the circuit boards and the kits. So.
Gotcha. Well, and then after this, you're going to be busy doing a lot of people's websites. So
I'm not getting back into that, man.
So I'm so intrigued by the way that you're approaching this, because I think a lot of us out there who have tried DIY kits, a lot of them are produced in various ways, and sometimes those ways are not super helpful. I've gotten a couple kits where I'm like, I think this is someone's putting me on. This is just a joke and that I can't figure out. It's like it's an escape room, except it's a pedal. And I really appreciate, from a builder standpoint, and I would say an average non-professional electronic person builder who just wants to go like, I want to make this and I want to put my own work into it to the degree that I can and have something on the back end and play it, right? And maybe even learn a few things on the way so where you can start developing your own stuff or something. Who knows? But I appreciate the way that you are approaching this, especially with those components, because that's, if you don't know what you're doing, I remember the very first kit that I got, I was completely lost, and I felt so defeated immediately. Upon opening the package, I was like, I'm never going to figure this out. And I didn't even realize that that on the board, it's like you're just painting by numbers because everything's printed on the board, but I didn't know that. There was no instructions that tell me that, on when I built my first one. And so just those little things where someone who does this all the time doesn't think twice about it, but people who are entering into this, which is what we are all encouraging everybody to get out and build something, that can be really prohibitive.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I'd had people. I mean, I'd been doing this, for about 5 years or so before I started doing the kits, and I'd had a lot of people ask, like, "Hey, can you do? I don't like to shop on Mouser, where there's 10, 20 different filters just to find like one resistor, and it's intimidating. Do you just sell the kit?" And I was just like, my answer was just always like, dude, I don't want to do people shopping for them. I don't want to be that where all I do is I'm just like your guy who goes out and gets it for you and brings it back, like your Uber Eats driver or something. You're the
finder. Yeah, you're the finder.
And so when I first started like thinking through, okay, taking it seriously, I'd gotten a lot more people asking, and I was just thinking, okay, if I was going to do this, what am I going to do to be different, to make this rewarding for me, to not just be another guy doing kits, to improve what's going on out there. And so my thought behind it was just, not wanting to do people shopping for them. How can I just rethink the entire way that the build process goes, and not just say, okay, how can I be different from that guy over there, but just throw all that out, not look at anybody else, just say, okay, if I was doing this from scratch, forget about what anybody else is doing. How would I do this in the best way possible, bring it into, well, it was 2018 at the time, but 2020, because a lot of times people are still building pedals like it's 1995 or 1985. And so how can I kind of combine some of the best ideas from like the maker movement, modern manufacturing techniques and stuff like that, and just think through that whole build process and make it so that it's fun. And like you were saying, the worst thing is that you're excited to try this new thing, especially with the pandemic going on, this year, a lot of people have been getting into this kind of stuff, but you because they've been meaning to for a long time, but you get this kit and you just mess it up the first time, or you're intimidated by it and you never finish it. And then what you don't have any kind of reward from it. You're out, $80 or whatever, and you have a frustrating experience, and you got a box full of junk that you don't know what to do with. And so the idea is that, like, okay, how can I basically make it so that somebody buying one of these kits, they don't need to know anything, but how can I make it so that they have the highest likelihood of success when they build one of these kits, so that then they get that they miss out on all those terrible things, and they get the reward from it, which is having a working pedal that's awesome, that sounds great, that they built themselves. And so when I thought through everything, I thought through like, okay, those resistors were one thing, but then I thought through, okay, what's the other terrible part about building pedals? The wiring. It's the worst. And so, well, I mean, the maker movement, the broader maker movement has figured that out for a long time, where you use like these Molex connectors for everything, like these just wire assemblies that just kind of snap in. And so I designed all these these new circuit boards and the kits around this kind of modular system, where you have the foot switch bypass board is one module, and then you have the input output, like the input output jacks and the DC jack are another module, and then the third module is the main circuit board that has the pots and switches attached to it. Ooh. And so when you're wiring, you do those three things separately, and then you just screw them into the enclosure and snap it in, and there you go. There's no wire stripping. There's no cutting to length. It isn't just like, here's a spool of wire and then you're on your own from there with a little diagram. It's just, there's only one place they can go. And then if you mess up, you can just unsnap it and screw it out. You don't have to desolder anything if you need to troubleshoot, or if you want to do modifications or anything like that. And so the whole way that it's thought through is that it's beginner friendly, but it's not like dumbed down at all. It isn't like a reading primer, C spot run kind of thing, where it's dumbed down and you're going to move beyond it. My hope is that if you're an intermediate builder, somebody who's been doing it for a while, that you would still have a blast, building these kits and end up with something you're proud of. And maybe you learn a few things, maybe you learn a few things about making your builds more modular and stuff like that. And that it would be a thing that gets more people into the DIY hobby, because it's such a fun, rewarding experience, very addictive. But then also that it's something that you can keep doing. You're not going to get to the point where the kits are just too dumbed down for you, because they're fun, and they're good quality, and they're better than what you can do on your own if you're just downloading some schematics and then following like a tag board layout or something like that. So
that reminds me of the experience of when you start building, like when you're really young and you're like, you get your first like model car to build. I think that's still a thing. People still building models, maybe not as much anymore, but when I was growing up, that was like, man, building model cars was like, and planes and all that stuff was my thing. And when you first start out, your parents aren't going to let you use the glue that all that all the neighborhood kids are out there not gluing things together with. And so you have snap kits. They were Snap-on. Literally, there was a brand called Snap-on. I think, was it Snap-on? No, that's the tools.
That's tools. Yeah.
But there's a snap. Anyways, there was a snap thing that you basically snap them all together.
Rice Krispies.
Right. It was Rice Krispies brand from Revel models. And then
Snap-togethers.
Yeah, snap-togethers. So it was foolproof, and you just put them together, and you're like, ta-da! But they were always janky. They were never right, and you didn't have there was no risk factor. There was no vulnerability. It's just like, well, it's going to work. It's like, you can't mess it up, really. But when you graduate to the next one, and you're like, well, I got to put this together and glue it, and if I mess it up, and there's a little bit of tension and risk, and I got to try, and I got to work hard at it, and that's kind of the rewarding part. So that's all that reminded me of.
Very nice.
Yes, thank you very much. All right, claps all around. Now, as far as your kits go, this was the one question I was like, there are so many pedals out there, and you said you've done over 100 of actual boards and stuff. Mm-hmm. You've chosen a couple kits, and the one that I found was the Tremulous Loon, which is a pretty obscure, I would say it's relatively obscure pedal. Why that one? And how does your choices for what you're choosing make their way into the kits?
Yeah, so I have a bit of I would say like an advantage over some of the people like build your own clone or who just do kits, because my the circuit boards, just the circuit boards, those always come first, and they kind of act as like market research. And so I can put a circuit board out there, and it takes, a while to do it, but nowhere near the amount of effort of a kit or the expense. And so I can put that out there, release it, and then watch it and see how people respond to it. Do people like it? And then I take the most popular ones. And then those are the ones that end up getting the kit treatment. So I have some built-in market research, kind of like the ability for like Burger King to watch where McDonald's is putting them up and then do it across the street. I can kind of watch that, and I can see which of my products are doing well, and then only do kits of those. Whereas some of the other ones, like if they put out like an obscure kit that is awesome, but people just don't get it, then they're out all the product for buying all the parts for those kits, and then they're on the shelves for a year before they sell off or sell out or whatever. And so for me, the two things are, first of all, how well does it do? Like, are people interested in the circuit board? People like it. But the second thing is just having a broad selection, so that people who want kits, they're not going to come to my site and say, well, there's not a tremolo, so I'm going to move on. It's just like, well, here's this tremolo. The source circuit is pretty obscure, but it's pretty similar to other stuff out there. And you're going to come here looking for a tremolo. This is the best analog tremolo you can find, just because it has fine-grained control over the waveform and everything. And there's nothing that other than like digital, like tap tempo and other stuff like that. There's nothing that you would want out of a tremolo that this one can't do. And so it's kind of that the Luna kit was more out of trying to get making sure that I had the bases covered. And so even though the Tremulous Loon isn't the most popular of pedals, it is pretty popular in the DIY scene, and a lot of like commercial pedals are based off of it. But the idea behind that was just that I don't want anybody to come to my site and then say, well, you didn't have a tremolo, that's what I'm after, and then go. So if you want a tremolo, here's an awesome one.
Well, you bring up the fact that it isn't the most common. Like, you don't have like, oh, here's the Tube Screamer or something like that.
Right,
so
yeah.
Because that there's no it just doesn't have that extra like, ooh, this is going to be something even more special beyond the fact that I built it, right? That is something that was the next like little ding that I saw. I was like, okay, cool. This isn't just another 3-knob tremolo that I could get anywhere. This is made from a more obscure one. This is very interesting.
What is the most popular circuit?
The most popular circuit on my site?
The most popular, what's your big buyer?
So the Centaur, the refractor, probably at least 2-to-1 on everything else, I would say.
Okay.
That's the bread and butter.
So the refractor is a clone of the Klon.
Yep. Clone. Yep.
Klon.
Centaur.
The refractor. Cool.
Yep.
Well, I figured it was going to
Awesome.
be, one of those ones that probably people can't shell out the money for, but they can build on their own. That's really cool.
Yeah. It's a good intersection of like, it's a super popular circuit, and it's one that, everybody's heard about, but the actual one is, there is an economy of price. Now, there isn't an economy of price with like the Tube Screamer clone or whatever, but with the Centaur one, there definitely is, where you're definitely saving a lot if you go with the kit route.
A lot. A really, 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 really lot. That's
a lot.
That's what Jared would have said.
I would have said very a lot.
Very, yes.
Very a lot.
So it looks like, almost all of your kits and boards are based on other existing pedals. Are there any, do you sometimes feel like it's like proprietary types of things that you're copying, or what's your take on that?
Yeah, so this is a big topic of conversation in the DIY world. You can go on some forums, and there are just like threads that are just hundreds and hundreds of pages long where people talk about this kind of thing. And so there's tons of nuance to people's perspectives. But I've done like over 100 different boards, and this is like intensive research on these pedals. And what I realize in seeing all these schematics and studying all this stuff is that everybody in the industry, every single person got their start in cloning somehow. So even if you go back to, I'm not even talking like boutique stuff that's all based on the Tube Screamer. I'm saying like, let's just look at the Tube Screamer itself. And so this is like one of the most cloned circuits in all of history. It's the basis for like almost all of the boutique pedals out there. And the thing is though, is once you see all the schematics that are from around that time, you see that the Tube Screamer is kind of just a tweaked clone of something that came before it. And that's a tweaked clone of something earlier and on like that. And so you go all the way back to like when they first started using op amps in overdrive pedals. And so like the MXR Distortion Plus is like the first like solid example, which is like 73, I think. And it's basically just an op amp gain control, hard clipping diodes to ground. And then it's kind of well known for like the tone changing as you turn the gain up, because that's the way the gain structure is set up. So 1976, Maxon in Japan puts out the OD880. And so this is Tube Screamer came out in 79. So this is 1976. And the OD880 is just like a distortion plus, but then they change the gain control so it doesn't change the tone as you turn it up. 77, you have both Maxon and Boss that both put out new overdrive pedals. Boss has the OD1, which is just an OD880, but the diodes are moved into the feedback loop if you're tracking so far. Maxon puts out the OD855, which is a distortion plus, but the tone control, it has a tone control before the clipping stage. And this is exactly identical to the Tube Screamer tone control. And so by the time you have a Tube Screamer, it comes out in 1979, there's nothing original about it whatsoever. It's just two blocks. It has the clipping section from a Boss OD1, and then it has a tone control from OD855. And then they put the tone control after the clipping stage instead of in front of it. And so when you have this broad view of seeing like all these different, schematics, you can kind of piece together a story of like these two Japanese companies, Boss and Maxon, that are going back and forth, kind of corporate espionage stuff, looking at each other's products, tracing each other's pedals, developing new ideas, and then stealing each other's innovations. And the result is this Tube Screamer. But the thing is, like Maxon, probably didn't know what they had when they came across when they developed the Tube Screamer. Because like for them, it was just the third version of the circuit they've been working on for a few years that came from the Distortion Plus, because engineers don't like see outside that forest of the circuit they're working on. And so it happened to catch fire in the United States. And so now we study it, we look back, we care about its history, kind of a survivorship bias, because you don't really hear many stories about like Yamaha or Washburn pedals from the same time period. But like even after the Tube Screamer comes out, Boss took the circuit and added, asymmetric clipping diodes to make the SD1. They didn't see the Tube Screamer as like game over or something that couldn't be improved. And so I bring back to what I do, and I look at it more as like research and trying to get as much information out there as possible than I am like trying to take a cut of the pie of commercial pedals. And my biggest goal is to try to make it easy for people to build their own pedals and get into electronics and understand what's going on, and to make more people who understand and appreciate what's going on in these like 40-year-old analog circuits. And so for me, like there's not really any indication, I don't think, that DIY pedals, that what I do or what anybody else is doing actually cuts into the commercial sales of the pedals they're based on. And I kind of think of it as it's probably more likely that it helps with added publicity. So if I take apart like a Pete Cornish pedal or something like that, he advertises on his site, he says, this is a completely original circuit. But then you get it and it has tape on the back that says, warranty void if opened. And then you open it up and it's gooped and everything. And you don't want to just, void the warranty on a $600 pedal. And so most of his stuff, nobody's looked inside it. But I've traced 4 of them. And the thing is, like, all I've done is confirmed, that he's the real deal. So the ones he says original, I've confirmed they're original circuits. I've never seen anything like them before, and they're really, really good. And so have I convinced anybody not to buy a Cornish pedal? No, I don't think so, because they were just they weren't going to spend $600 on it anyway. And the ones who were going to spend $600 on it, they're going to do it no matter what, because they want the name brand.
Collectability.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And they want the they want the name on their board.
And to be clear, the work that you're doing is you're not taking a circuit board from, that thing, duplicating that exact circuit board.
Yeah.
You've put your time and trouble into researching, developing, and figuring out what needs to go where.
For sure, yeah. And it's not a replica. It's not a ripoff. It's just the same parts arranged differently in a different package and in a way that you can, when you build it, you can understand it and see what's going on. And the end result is that like Pete Cornish gets a better reputation from it because people know he's the real deal.
Yeah.
I have to say, when you're talking about the Tube Screamer and all this thing, it kind of sounds like me explaining the difference between Kunafi and Farco, except for you do a much better job.
Yeah.
And you're much more thorough. So I want to compliment you on that.
Oh, thanks. I hope it's interesting. That's just, I live in this stuff. And so it's kind of like, I have like a murder board where I can see all these connections between things that are going on. And it's just that where you see, the more you see it, the more you realize, like, I mean, like Cornish isn't even, I mean, most of his early stuff, like the G2 is based on a big muff. The ST2 is based on a color sound overdriver and stuff like that. So he got his start in cloning too. Mm-hmm. Most of the boutique industry, like I said, goes back to a tweaked tube screamer or a tweaked big muff and stuff like that. And so my perspective is just that, like, if somebody traces your pedal and they find out that all you did was take the buffers out of a tube screamer and that is what sinks your business, then you don't have much of a business. But like, if you have an original design that is worthy of all this hype, then you don't have anything to worry about. So people will still buy your stuff just as much or even more because you've been vetted as the real deal. And so for me, it's like imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. And if you have a good circuit, you got nothing to worry about if your schematic is out there,
Yeah. Good point.
You're incredibly well spoken, my friend. I really appreciate it. And I mean that sincerely. This has been a very informative and interesting discussion. And I'm really thrilled that we got you on the show.
It would have took me 4 hours to tell everything that you told tonight.
Yeah. And all I could think about when you started that last portion, when you mentioned the Washburn pedals, all I can imagine there's one guy out there who's listening who was shocked out of his coma of listening, and his eyes welled up with tears, and he looked behind him at his bookshelf, in which he had his collection of Washburn pedals that no one understands,
with the original carrying case and boxes.
That's
and
what
receipt.
happened. Yeah.
So congratulations, you destroyed someone out there.
Yes.
Yamaha and Washburn made awesome pedals in the 80s, but it's just that it's the tube screamers to the point where people actually care about the history.
Yeah.
I love Yamaha and Washburn pedals. They're awesome, and I hope nobody else loves them because then they stay cheap. But
I've got some.
Like,
yeah.
Everybody talks about it and studies the tube screamer and finds out all this. They interview Tamura and the people behind it and everything, and people care about it now because of what it turned into. But when it was happening, the people who were building it didn't know what they were doing. They didn't understand the significance of this one pedal in contrast to the 3 or 4 that came before it. You know what I mean?
Indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been fantastic, which you already know. You're saying that to yourselves, and as we are here. So
Good one.
Thank you so much. So we're going to get into what people can do at your site and all that business in just a little bit, but Jared he's going to chew the microphone into shreds if he doesn't get to do his thing here.
Exactly. It's my turn. Okay, I'm not upset. So this week's Would You Rather is very, very interesting. So interesting, I'm going to sing it. And this is what I'm going to sing. Would you rather?
Oh, man, Tony, you just janked him. Oh,
would you rather? Would you rather?
All right.
This week's Would You Rather is from Tig Harmon. And it's probably, and I read through it here, and this is probably going to be my favorite.
Really?
Wow.
Because it's funny.
Wow.
I love this one. So you walk on stage in front of 1 billion people, and the billion's not there, and your guitar strap breaks. You're
Snap.
like, oh no, my guitar strap. Oh. So you go to grab another guitar strap, and for some reason, it's just the way it is, there are only 2 options, and neither are adjustable. One is so short that the guitar body is up on your chest, and the other one is so low that it's well below your waist. So
Knee length.
Right. So I hope you have an Explorer to rock that long strap with. So, and then he put go. So that's when we're supposed to go ahead and
the war of the strap length. It's a great one. It's a tough one.
awesome subject.
What are we going to do? Yes. Thank you so much, Tig Harmon, one of our
buddy.
Our longstanding executive producers. Tony Baloney, you're going to kick us off, and we're going to go around the horn.
I don't like either option.
You like a stool.
Can I get a stool and sit down?
No.
Only there's one person that can get away with that. Now, Billy Zoom.
Yes. Well, for medical purposes.
Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Get the high strap, Tony Baloney. Come on,
I
do it.
think I got to do the high strap.
Yes.
I mean, because back in the day, I could play a low slung guitar.
Yeah.
But now that I'm into my 50s, I don't think I can bend over that far anymore.
Yeah.
My Johnny Ramone days are long gone.
My dad had to do that too.
Yeah, I as much as I hate it because it's not comfortable for me to play something up high either.
Yeah.
But one of the coolest things I saw, there's some Kinks videos out there, and Dave Davis from the Kinks had a flying V.
Oh, yeah.
And he had it. It was pretty high up.
Yeah.
But he put his strumming arm, picking arm, through the middle, the split of the V, and played it that way, which was kind of. I'm going with put it up there on the chest.
Okay.
And with
Lay away
with a suit.
All
with
right.
a suit and Beetle boots.
Jared, how about yourself?
Swing low, sweet strap. Yep, I'm doing low. It's not as easy as it was 25 years ago because now I'm fat.
Not only that, you're also what 6'9" or something.
I know, so it'd have to be
so even the longest of straps is going to be.
It's going to be
short.
like a 7 foot long strap.
Yeah.
Just to swing her low. I'll do the low one because
Do the low.
you can always kind of prop it up with your. Not really.
Nah.
You're screwed.
Yeah.
Yep.
How about yourself, Kevin?
So I think I'd rather evoke the punk rocker than like the mariachi player. Because the thing is, if it was high, that's probably going to be better for like if you really know what if you're a phenomenal guitarist and you need to have that, But for me, I think I would go with like the low slung because I'm gonna look like I know what I'm doing. And then I'm not going to have to impress anybody with the guitar playing either way. Whereas if it was really high, they would expect a lot more out of me because I look like a doofus. So,
Yeah. Yeah. You can like kind of rock out and lose yourself and be forgiven if you're doing that.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Kevin, I'm joining you there. I like to play it a little bit lower anyways. I've always struggled with the playing it up high. Don't know why. And it just doesn't. I don't know if I could get away with that either.
So I'm on
stage. I couldn't
once
do that.
again. Welcome to Tony Island. No one else is allowed.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty
Sorry,
much.
man. I'm slinging her low, brother.
Yeah, for sure. In fact, I remember when I got my first, like I would say, real guitar. I got my first Les Paul, and the strap I had wouldn't put it low enough. I actually had a shoelace tied to extend it because.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. That was normal back then.
It did the thing.
It did the thing.
I'm going to go get you a short guitar strap.
That's right.
All right, Ty Harmon, thank you so much for sending that in. That was a really great one.
That's
and
a
if
good one.
you have a great Would You Rather, we would love to hear it. So
Or
send
just
it in.
a regular one.
Well, did Tig answer this question?
He didn't.
Tig, what is
Shame
your
on you.
answer? Are you gonna
Shame on you.
You coming to Tony Island?
Would you rather?
I think he's slinging it low.
Sling low,
Yeah.
sweet chariot.
I bet he is.
Like me and Kevin and Jared. All right, everybody. We need to just say a few thank yous, and then we're going to talk to our friend Kevin on our way out here, okay? Go ahead, Tony.
This point of the show, we like to thank a special group of people. These are our executive producers. And you may be asking yourself, what is an executive producer? And more importantly, how do I become one? I want you to go over to patreon.com/the guitar knobs and check out the couple of different levels that you can participate in. Each level comes with its own fun-filled prize packages, thank you gifts, whatever you want to call them.
Rewards is what they're actually called. but go ahead.
Rewards, well, that's actually a better term than I used. So, you get all kinds of great stuff. Stickers, barefoot buttons, T-shirts, keychains, all the good stuff. But at the executive producer level, you get all that great stuff. Don't get me wrong, you get all of it. But you get one more thing. And Jared, what is that?
You get to have your name read on the
Your
thing,
name read on
right.
the thing. And that's what I'm going to do right now. So special thanks to these executive producers.
Do it.
Tom Barazin, Martin Cliff, John Daly, Chris Carney, Darren Gregory, Doug Christ, Michael Van Zandt, Ken Sayers, Brian Robison, Michael Senchuk, Stefan Lamb, Johnny Knowles, Anthony Lathrop, John England, Tyler Bray, Brad Partridge, Chris Heidel, John Esterly, Doug Gann, Justin Jones, Brett Alexander, James White, Matt Hart, Liam Martin, James Pennington, Richard Kendall. Sorry, Richard. Tyga Harmon, the troublemaker.
Would you rather?
John Williams, Michael DeLucio, and John Jackson.
Isn't there more, old buddy?
I'm glad you asked, Jared, because there are. Just a step up from the executive producer level, we have a special group of friends and supporters called the Grand Poobahs.
That's right.
In addition to all the great stuff, they get a special fez to wear, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Todd, but they are required to wear it while listening to the podcast.
Even if they're driving.
Even if they're driving.
Yep.
Got to watch out for the little tassel.
That's right.
So I'm going to thank this very special group of Grand Poobahs. Mr. Jonathan Jerusik, Corey Nigro, David Kaminga, Cody Lane, Cody Foster, Sean S. Tommy Manasco, Mark Garton, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, Zach Melton, and Tim Novak. Thank you. We honestly, guys, we could not do this without you.
Nope.
And if I didn't read your name and you participate in Patreon, I thank you too.
Yep.
But you know, like I said, this podcast would not be possible. Plain and simple.
It's very much appreciated. Thank you.
Plain and simple. Thank you so much. Kevin, please tell everyone where they can find your awesome wares and get stuff.
Yeah, so the website is aionfx.com, AIONFX.com. And then Instagram, Twitter, Facebook is all just Aion FX, 6 letters.
Awesome.
Fantastic. So we'll go out there and check out his brand new website and, you know, start building stuff. Start building stuff. Do it. Mm-hmm. All right, Tony Baloney.
Let's just say you need a special pick guard. Go over to pickguardian.com.
Just do it.
Just do it. It's real simple. It's a relatively simple site to navigate, so I'm told. And check it out. See the things that I have to offer. There's some guards and things that you can buy right there on the site. Things like for Rickenbackers and Reverends and D'Armands and a couple of other brands. But by and large, mostly what I do is custom work. So shoot me an email. Let me know what you need, what material you're thinking, what kind of pickups you're using, what control layout you want. I will take care of it, and we'll make something that works for you.
He always does. And if you need pickups, I have a few announcements to make for Brandon Wound. Number one, as I said before, I'm doing a very small show called Rewind Time with Brandon Wound Pickups.
I saw both episodes so far.
And there's more to come. So each episode is about 5 to 6 minutes long, so it won't take up all your time.
No, it won't. And then when you're done watching that, you can listen to the show.
That's right.
Yeah.
All on the same thing.
I talk about the guitar knobs after each episode to remind you about the guitar knobs. So
excellent.
Go to BrandonWoundPickups.com. I've got a sale going on as well. So with the code football, all lowercase letters, football will get you 15% off on everything except rewinds, modifications, and the limited edition stuff.
Now, is that
how long?
Is that football or soccer?
That's American football or soccer football, whichever one you prefer.
How long is this lasting? Because if somebody listens to this 6 months from now,
it's going to go probably to the end of November, so we're good.
November 2020.
Yep. So check out my stuff. My shtick is vintage stuff. To make look old or new or whatever. And if you need something that you see that I don't have, please shoot me an email.
Fantastic. You can send me an email, todd@theguitarknobs.com. You can send me a DM on Instagram. I'd love to hear from you. And send us your would you rathers. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We want to say a massive thank you to Kevin VandeKrol of Aion FX. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
You got it.
All right. Have a fantastic guitar week and subscribe.
Yeah.
I don't recall eating lettuce.
That's Tony.
Here's Jared.
Hey!
Eon. Baby New Year with the big ears.
What
and
is it?
Eon was those ears. Those ears.
Aion.
A dentist. Do you know what a salad shooter is?
I can Google it real quick
Right?
and then pretend like I know.
Well, Yukon Cornelius was in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
No. Yukon Cornelius. Yes. He's yes. At Aion.
You gotta get that looked at, man.
And
Hopefully, I've shot it all out.
Oh, no.
That was
Kevin, are you still alive, buddy?
I am. Yep.
Fantastic.
nice.
And then they had the whale, and the whale had a clock on him.
Oh, this is sounding like an
Now it's
acid trip.
getting
What? What the? Okay,
Who are you doing, dude?
I don't know.
we haven't seen each other in a week, so this is what happens.
Not good.
If you've decided you made a terrible mistake by coming
Too
on.
late now. Go take care of his salad shooter. Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.